difference between 60 seconds.
Yeah, Javier here. First off, I'd like to thank everyone for replying to my question. Special thanks to JasperAvi for being the Five Mad Heathens special guest of the week, and I hope that all the rest of you liked the choice of JasperAvi as a special guest. I thought his answer was very good. In fact, I would say that. By the way, I'll link to his video and everyone else's up in the description box. I would say that I agree with everything he said except for one thing, which is kind of crucial though. But I don't agree with the way he defined what a proof or burden of proof means. Other than that, I mean, his argument was essentially that anyone making a claim, be it a positive or a negative claim, has the burden of, or they must, as part of the claim, present an argument to back that claim up. And it's not up to the person who they're making the claim against to have to come up with a counter-argument, without them coming up with an argument first, which I completely agree with. Where I disagree is I wouldn't call that burden of proof. I do think that proof needs to be something stronger, have a higher standard, which I guess we can get into the whole thing of where do you draw the line between what's making an argument and proving a point. And it's not always easy to draw that line. There's a whole gray area. I guess in some specific areas, like maybe in formal logic or mathematics, there's actually a definition for what constitutes a solid proof. But in most endeavors, in most arguments or the philosophical discussions, you really don't have that. You have a whole wide range. Where do you draw the line for what is proof and what is just an argument? And I would say probably that JasperAvi and I draw the lines in different places. At least that's the impression I got from watching his video. Maybe we can hash it out a little more. We'll see. Yeah, to me, the way I view burden of proof is similar to like in the legal example that I gave, which is the reason I gave it, is the idea is that when someone has the burden of proof, that means that the person, the person on the other side doesn't actually even need to make any arguments to defend their position. Or, if you want to use, philosophy, the person, I wouldn't, if you had the burden of proof and you're making a claim or an argument to me, I don't even need to tell you what my position is, much less make an argument for it. All I would have to do is evaluate your arguments, and if I find that they're in any way fallacious, unconvincing, or otherwise lacking, I can simply dismiss your claim, say you fail, go home. To me, that's what it means to have the burden of proof. And not so there's no need to go back and forth, if that makes any sense. That's the way I would define it, and in that sense it's something stronger, which is also where I would in Andrew's video, he seemed to have it like when someone's making a positive assertion, that the burden of proof lies on either the person making the assertion or the person not making, the assertion, which, again, if you use JasperAvi's definition, then yes, someone has to make an argument, and it would have to be the person making the claim. That would be positive or negative, not just positive claim. But using what I think is the more, the standard that I would adopt for what I consider to be burden of proof, that would be kind of a false dichotomy, because there's a whole middle ground where you can make an art where there is no burden of proof at all, where it's just we can argue about our positions. And anyway, that's my... Oh, and one more thing about Andrew's video. I did have a lot of criticisms of it. That the assertion itself that he made in the video of that anyone making a positive assertion has the burden of proof is a positive assertion. Therefore, he gave himself the burden of proof when he said that. So, so Andrew, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be surprised that I'm trying to hold you to that burden that you gave yourself. Let's see. Also, in Orygyn's video, also linked up there, all around good. But there was one thing that you said where you said that in situations, such as like the existence of God or something like that, where you can't prove it either way, you would invoke the burden of proof then, which I find kind of funny, because you're essentially saying that once you've established that neither side can prove their position, then you invoke the burden of proof, which, if you're going to do that, you should have good justification for doing it. And then the only other, I guess, little complaint I had going back to Andrew's video, sorry to keep picking on you, Andrew, is that he seemed to focus, in his video on claims that were of the regard of, either X exists or X doesn't exist. And there's, so many other kinds of claims. Now, I guess you could take a kind of a radical existentialist position where every claim can be boiled down to either it exists or it doesn't. I don't find that to be a particularly useful way of looking at things. I prefer to instead try to break things down into, say, competing hypotheses, and that way one can evaluate the evidence or the arguments for each hypothesis without necessarily sometimes even not even needing to like invoke a burden of proof, but just weigh things out, see, like if you're buying a car. So, I guess maybe this is like the science fanatic in me, but even something like, say, does Bigfoot exist? I would instead look at it for, in a way of two competing hypotheses, where, hypothesis one is that the apparent evidence for Bigfoot was left there by an actual Sasquatch, or hypothesis two, that that evidence was all planted by hoaxsters. So, and of course there's many others, but you can evaluate those two and actually look at the evidence supporting each of those and come to a decision like that, instead of, and the same can be done with say, the existence of God. Is the God concept the result of God actually showing himself to ancient people, or is God a character that evolved out of ancient man-made myths? Let's look at the evidence. That would be my approach, and try to avoid existentialist questions whenever possible. But that's just me. I tend to invoke the burden of proof when someone is trying to shift me from a position that I find comfortable or pragmatic, something that works for me. If I've got some position or something that I'm happy with, that's working for me, and someone's trying to tell me, no, this is what you should believe, or whatever, I would then, I guess, invoke a burden of proof. So anyway, that's my rambling explanation. Hope I didn't go over 10 minutes. Javier, out.